I saw in an interview you did that when you first started, you had a Hollywood meeting and you were chomping at the bit to get back to your therapy.
Yeah, that's right. I remember I was meeting with this producer who wanted me to write a movie for him. And, when I went to school and began my internship to become a therapist, nobody but a few people in Hollywood knew I was doing it. And so by this point, I was working at the psychiatric hospital, primarily with a group of schizophrenics. And I remember during the lunch looking at my watch going, gee, I hope I'm not late for dealing with my patient. I was driving down La Cienega like a lunatic after the lunch, driving as fast as I could. And I had kind of a road to Damascus experience where I kind of went, I think I want to change my life. I think I want to do therapy. I think I want to work with patients. I think that if I'm going to write, I'll go back to what I wanted to do when I was in college, which was to write novels. And so I found that experience of being sort of impatient talking to the producer about a screenplay and being excited to get to work with my patients at the psych hospital sort of illuminated. Sooner or later, you have to listen to your inner voice. That told me I needed to change my life, and so I did.
Well, that's wonderful. You seem to have much success in every career you've tried so far.
I've been very lucky. I've been very, very lucky. I know many more talented people than me, many harder working people than me, many smarter people than me, and the stars just didn't align for them the way it aligned for me. I'm very aware and very grateful that for whatever reason, I've been pretty lucky.
Well, that's great. But if you had to share some advice in helping maybe aspiring authors, what would you say?
Well, the first thing I'd say is don't worry about any trends. Don't try to follow what's being done now. Or I think the most important thing is to keep giving them you until you is what they want. And
I like that.
I think keep giving them you until you is what they want. The second thing I would say, and this is based on my almost 30 years working with patients, that if you're struggling with the problems of writing, make sure you remember that writing is hard. It doesn't mean you're a moron. It doesn't mean you shouldn't be a writer. It doesn't mean you didn't go to the right school. It doesn't mean you didn't educate yourself enough. It doesn't mean you're not talented enough. Writing is difficult and has a lot of problems. One of the things I've noticed, for example, let's say someone has writer's block and they're stuck on a scene or a chapter. It's not being stuck that causes the problem. It's what they think it means about them. Oh, if this were a good story, I wouldn't be stuck. If I were a really good writer, I wouldn't be stuck. Oh, I bet John Updike never had writer's block. Whatever you tell yourself, that meaning is what causes as much of the problem as anything else. And so what I usually suggest people is work the problem. Don't make yourself the problem. Writing's hard, so work the problem. Don't make yourself the problem. It doesn't say anything about you if you're struggling with your writing. All it says is you're a struggling writer. And every successful writer in my practice used to be a struggling writer.
Oh, I really like that advice of not following the trends.
Yeah, that's a terrible. After the Da Vinci Code came out, 500,000 manuscripts about relic stuff. New York got literally a blizzard of those manuscripts. And the one thing I know for sure is the moment a book becomes a bestseller, whatever its theme or context is, don't try to write like it, because by the time your book is written and sent to a publisher and published, it's 3 years later and that trend's gone.
Oh, yeah.
I have read, I will say, poorly written books that tried to emulate Gone Girl, and it just...
Oh, my God.
It did not work.
I actually wrote a piece for the Huffington Post called Girls Gone Wild, because the title of Girl, the girl on a train, Gone Girl, the girl that was in the tree, the girl that was under the woods, and now it's woman. The woman in the window, the woman on the door, the woman who wouldn't go home. It's like, what are you doing? It all started with the girl with the dragon tattoo. It really cemented with Gone Girl. And there have been so many ripoffs of Gone Girl that I've read. It's just ridiculous.
Cookie Cutter's not done as well as Gillian Flynn did it.
No, hardly. She's a wonderful writer.
Yes, she is.
Yes.
On that note, do you have any upcoming books or events you'd like our listeners readers to know about?
Well, actually, the most recent book, Head Wounds, is the book that's out there right now. I don't have, starting another one, but I don't have anything that is about to come or come out. What I would suggest is if you go to my website, there's short stories in there, there's articles about writing, and there's many interviews with me about my books and about my work as a therapist. My website's DennisPalumbo.com, and I think you can not only learn about my work, but you can also contact me through my website. I always like to hear from readers. That's it. I'm marinating. The way books are for me is I marinate for a while, and then all of a sudden, boom, I write 100 pages. It has to marinate first.
You definitely gained 3 new fans on this end.
Oh, thank you so much. How kind of you. My goodness.
That was an amazing book.
Thank you so much.
We really enjoyed it.
Thank you so much.
Well, Tracy, I know you were hoping that we would ask Dennis about his...
We'll let you go without at least telling us one little story about writing for Welcome Back, Kotter.
She was a Welcome Back Kotter junkie.
Yeah,
my age was perfect for that show.
Yeah. I think my 2 claims to fame in Hollywood is the TV show Welcome Back, Kotter and the movie My Favorite Year with Peter O'Toole.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that was
That's a
excellent
great
movie.
movie.
But there's a lot of stories from Kotter, most of which are not for a family audience, but I will tell you one that is.
Okay.
We were working and John Travolta kept coming in for the readings and rehearsals, and he always looked exhausted. And he said, I'm every night for 3 hours, I'm doing these stupid dancing lessons for this really stupid movie. And so then he came in one time with the poster. You know the poster? He's in the white suit with the hair. And he said, my God, look, this is ridiculous. Oh, my God, when this movie comes out, I'm going to go run for the hills. And we made so much fun of him. And we made so much fun of the suit and the pose. And, oh, John, you're so sexy. Oh, John. Well, did we know that he was going to become the world's biggest movie star when Saturday Night Fever came out. But it was trash talk him. And so I always remember that, boy, you never know what's going to happen. Because between that movie and then Grease, he literally became, instead of being Barbarino, one of the 4 sweat hogs we dealt with every day, he became the world's biggest movie star in like 6 months.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Really was bizarre. I mean, it was just really strange.
Yeah. So were you responsible for any of the catchphrases that they said on the show?
Oh, yeah. Well, we all pitched in. We all did our version of, up your nose with a rubber hose, Mostly whenever something horrible happened to Horseshack, it usually had been based on something that horrible had happened to me. I was a nerdy kid. I'm a nerdy adult. And so I could always lean into all the nerdy parts. I had a hard time writing the Barbarino parts because he was really good with girls. And that was not my experience. I'm still a nerd, so it works out fine.
Well, my son, I would consider him a nerd, and I just know looking at him, nerds definitely have and will rule this world.
Oh, they're ruling the world now.
Yep.
No, nerds rule. Absolutely. Nerds rule.
Well, Dennis, we thank you so much for coming on the show, and we look forward to any of your other installments in this series, and please keep in touch with us if you have any upcoming events or any future books, and we will pass your website. We'll add that to our show notes so people can find you and check out your work.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's been a lot of fun.
Well, you made it lots of fun too, Dennis. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
All right, you take care.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Dennis.
Well, we thank Mr. Palumbo for taking time to talk with us, and we wish him well with all his writing.
And I would like to say that after this interview, I went back and read the first book in the series, and I am very impressed by Dennis Palumbo's writing, and I will continue on with the series. I really enjoyed it.
I was able to read 4 of the titles, as we said, feature Daniel Rinaldi, and wanted to just give a synopsis of his latest because, of course, that's the one he wants to sell right now. Head Wounds is not technically a mystery. I think he touched on that earlier. It's more of a thriller, and it's not a whodunit neither. The first 4 books are whodunit mystery type thrillers, but this one, he pretty much tells you very early in the book who is committing the crimes. And it's more about how does Daniel and his little band of helpers get out of this mess. So it was a page turner. It started almost from the very beginning, and it was a whirlwind. It just, bam, started. All kinds of things, terrible things happen to Daniel's friends, and he's got to figure out how to make this guy stop. I have to say, I really couldn't wait to get to the end to figure out how does he get out of this mess, and it was very well done.
Well, I tell you, the one thing that comes across in all these books is his medical background comes through, and the way he deals with psychological issues. In the first book, there was a whole thing about psychopaths, and we've talked a lot about that. He knows his stuff.
Oh, definitely. It's very, very heavy with the information on psychotherapy and psychological problems in the book, woven into a very good page-turning mystery, or thriller in this case.
Very good. All right. Well, we are now going to cast a little spotlight on another book club, and this one's right at our back door practically.
Wow, one maybe we could go visit.
We are highlighting a group called the USUAL Suspects. It's located in Columbia, Maryland, and they've been around since May of 1999.
Wow. They meet once a month for discussions, except for May when they have an anniversary lunch. And the December meeting is atypical and made up of the following components: a vote for members' favorite books of the year, and an end-of-the-year critique of the books they've read that year, and a Bring a Book segment when each member can recommend a book.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, maybe we can institute that in our
that sounds
Christmas.
like a great idea.
They have 14 members on their list, but usually about 10 members come to the discussions. And there is a waiting list for membership in the group. So unfortunately, apparently, we can't just drop in and visit.
Well, maybe they'll take visitors.
Now, near the end of each year, members volunteer to lead one of the 10 sessions they have in the following year. Each of those members chooses a mystery book that he or she is enthusiastic about leading a discussion group on. The member is free to choose anything he or she wishes as long as it's a mystery.
Their meetings are usually held in a member's home. If that member happens to be away for the meeting date, someone else always volunteers to have the discussion in their home.
And that's probably why they have a limited size.
When you're in somebody's house, you wouldn't want 27 people.
Right. But we thank them very much for getting in touch with us.
And if you would like to get put on their waiting list,
you can contact
Pauline Cohen at pauline.cohen, that's COHEN, at gmail.com.
And she's the coordinator, and we thank her for sending the information to us on their club. We wish them all the best.
It really warms my heart to know that all these book clubs are out there carrying on with the mystery work.
And if you have a book club that you are a member of, please get in touch with us. You can email us at dark-stormy-bookclub@gmail.com and just let us know you're interested in having us highlight your book club.
We'd be happy to give you a shout out.
Even if you're just thinking about starting a book club.
Or joining a book club. We've probably got a list of...
We'll talk to anybody.
Yes. Is anybody out there? That brings us to the end of Bookends number 13.
You can also contact us on our website. There's a contact button on there. On our website, you can also sign up for our newsletter that comes out once a month. And all our links to our social media are in there, and our Amazon affiliate button that if you click through there, you can purchase anything. It's usually the book that we're featuring at that particular time of the month. It was a dark and stormy bookclub.com. And stay tuned because pretty soon we're going to be offering some special incentives for our Patreon supporters. So we're working on those now.
And we hope you'll join us next week when we will be highlighting the books of Chris Nixon, Nickson. We look forward to seeing you then, and we thank you again for listening. And remember,
Life would be boring without a little mystery.
bye.